Back to my channel. Today I wanted to do something a little different. So for today's look, I'm going to be doing something inspired by Wednesday with their spiderweb stained glass, to where I'm going to do half of my face a little bit more black and white monochrome, and then one side more rainbow to base it off both Wednesday and Enid. But for today, I thought while doing this Get Ready With Me, I wanted to do a bit of a movie review based on a few of my favorite movies, which happen to be Twister and Twisters, which just came out a couple months ago. Last month. So, I've already primed my face, so let's get ready and put on the foundation. So, like I said, with today's look, I wanted to discuss my favorite movie, Twister, which just came out recently. Fell in love with it immediately. Now, this is just based on my opinions. They don't mean a damn thing. You can either agree to disagree, your choice, but I just wanted to discuss some of the positives and negatives of the movie, as well as just discussing some of the fun little Easter eggs that I've noticed with the movie. So, as we get started, I'm going to start applying my foundation here. I'm going to keep it a little bit more on the pale side for Wednesday, and then I'm going to buff it up for Enid. So, what I loved about this movie is that it's been about 28 years since the original, which was in 1996, kind of discussing about major tornado outbreaks that can happen here in Oklahoma. What's crazy is how, with this movie, I believe only 3 years later, Oklahoma does have its biggest tornado outbreak during the time, which was the May 3rd, 1999. And to me, that's a little, I want to say coincidental when it comes to it, but so here we are about 28 years later, and they come out with a sequel, so to speak. It's actually considered a more standalone reimagining of the original, to where instead of them trying to gather data for tornadoes, it's more about finding ways to destroy a tornado. And what I loved is how they actually brought a lot of real life science that could potentially work if given the proper practice. However, I can imagine it would be difficult with some of the techniques that they had to use for the movie. Let's see, where to begin. So, some of the, I want to say, Easter eggs that I noticed, especially in a movie with our main protagonist, Kate, played by Daisy Edgar Jones. Oh, I'm already losing track on that. Has both characteristics of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's characters in the movie, Joe and Bill, to where she has the storm instincts much like what Bill has, but the knowledge of storm chasing just like Joe did. And some of the similarities I've noticed, the biggest Easter egg of it all, in certain scenes, especially, in just a heads up, this is a bit of a spoiler since it's been out for a while now, but the biggest Easter egg with her is that she tends to wear a white tank top with this beige mechanic jumper, which in reminiscent was just like Joe's character in the original, which was really fun to see. One of the biggest Easter eggs, I would say, with this movie was during a scene where Tyler Owens, who is played by Glenn Powell, would take Kate to a rodeo nearby the hotel that they're staying at, as a way of trying to show her that there's a brighter side to Oklahoma other than just these tornado outbreaks that practically take everything that we're given. So, as they're out there having a good time, enjoying each other's company for once, there is this sudden storm that surges, and it to me, it's almost in similarity to the movie theater scene in the original, where an EF4 just kind of spawns out of nowhere. Now, if this movie is supposed to be a more modernized version, there's no way that, with everyone having their cell phones, would not have noticed something. What are you doing? Oh, let's go. Anyways, for everyone at the rodeo had their cells and everything, there's no way that nowadays you wouldn't get some kind of a warning about a supercell forming in the area. But in this movie, it made it seem like it just appeared out of nowhere, much like the EF4 scene in the original with the movie theater. So I kind of think that was a bit of a cute little nod to the original. The one thing I loved was just seeing how the tornadoes were created, because 10 years ago, a movie called Into the Storm was made, which I think was a bit of a dramatization of what happened to us with the May 20th of 2013 that kind of destroyed half of our town. So seeing the difference in graphics with the original versus this one, it's like day and night. It just looks incredible in my opinion. I loved the action in the movie. However, unlike the original, I just wish there was a little bit more of a story for it. A little bit more build up between the characters, which didn't really happen, which I was a bit disappointed with. It felt like a lot of the action was just kind of rushed out there instead of having some kind of a build-up like they did in the original with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. So I'm hoping with the ambiguous ending that they kind of left it open for interpretation, that there might be a sequel to it. I guess this would be a good time to kind of discuss some of the Easter eggs that were in the movie. One of them, of course, being the main would be Dorothy. How in the opening scene of the movie they had Dorothy used as a way to carry sensors to measure the wind speeds of a tornado. That was probably the only little nod for the original, but nothing past that, unfortunately. Let's see. And then the first tornado scene was with the windmills, which I've actually think I've seen heading towards Elgin, which is just a few miles away from Lawton. That there's this field out there that has all the turbines and everything, which I think is got to be where they were filming that part. Just the way these tornadoes looked and sounded in the movie were unreal. Just compared to most tornado movies nowadays, they don't look half as good. So I was thoroughly impressed by all that. Let's see, where is that brush? Brush. Sure. Oh, what else is there? So the one thing I definitely loved with these movies was there was a scene with Kate and Tyler where they were trying to prove her theory right of using what was called sodium polyglycite or waterlog, which is what they use in this material that they use in diapers or even moisture absorbents, especially for basements that have a huge humidity issue. They would use this particular polymer to be launched into a storm and try to absorb the moisture and increase the cold pool in a storm, which can disrupt a tornado's chemistry. Tornadoes have a very particular and very delicate system of how they form. You have to have the right mixture of hot and cold mixing together. And so if you add enough cold air, it can actually choke out a tornado, which is what this movie was based on, or kind of basing around, is using this sodium polymer to be launched into a tornado, suck all the humidity and moisture in the air, and then causing the storm to basically break down. Now that could potentially work nowadays if the practice was given. But you'd have to, much like what Tyler said in the movie, you would have to drop a silo of the stuff into the storm, which is why you would have to have almost that ready at all times, because you never know if you're going up against either an EF1 or an EF5, and God forbid you don't want to be stuck in the middle of an EF5. Let's see, this one and then the black. You know, I thought I would be good at trying to discuss the movie, but it turns out I'm not. But in short side, I think this movie deserved a pretty good rating. I gave it a good solid 8 out of 10. Even being a fanatic of the original, which I have playing in the background here, but I still wish that they would have had a little bit more build up with the story between Tyler and Kate, but hopefully maybe in the future, if they do decide to make a sequel to it, that they could maybe fix that problem, give or take, but we shall see. And the reason why I'm using a black liner on this eye is because I'm mimicking a look that's inspired by Wednesday, using the stained glass window in the Nevermore school between Wednesday and Enid. So half of this face is going to be more based off of Wednesday, and this one's going to be based off of Enid Sinclair. Just going to set this down. Okay. All right. Now to add the brow details. Good enough. Yeah, I kind of failed to discuss the movie, so I guess back to the makeup. So just making sure to get these brows as blended as I can before we fix them up underneath. Perfect. That one. That out. So, how's everyone else doing today? I got nothing to talk about right now. Now moving on to the eyes. So for this look, since I'm doing a half monochrome style versus a more rainbow style, I have picked out two of my favorite palettes that I want to use. So the first one is going to be this Cara Beauty or Kai Cosmetics Benink Chic, which I got at Ross for about $5, which I was excited for because it's got these beautiful like gray toned looks. So this will be going on the right side, which is going to be the whole side inspired by Wednesday. And then for the left side, I'm going to be using this Glam Light Artistry palette shaped like a true artist palette for the left side, which is going to be the more rainbow bubbly side. So we're going to start off with the Wednesday side, which is going to be the monochrome. So for this, I'm actually going to be using a white pigment base, which is from Profusion, the white pigment base. I'm just going to prime this eye. Both eyes will be done in similar techniques of my usual cut crease. It's just that they're going to be used with different colors. So with this side, it's going to be black, white, monochrome, while the contour and the blush is bare minimal, but it's going to be more cool toned, to whereas the left side will be more bright rainbow and sparkles. Right, now onto the tape. I'm gonna angle that right there. Okay, now onto the shadows. So we're gonna take my black, gray, and a duster. So dipping into this Benink Chic palette, we're going to take the darkest one, which is called The Road, which is the black one. And we're just going to take a packing brush and start packing on our shape. And just pulling it into the shape of the crease here. Now traditionally you don't want to start off with black because that can make it more difficult to blend outwards, but since we are wanting this to be as pigmented as we can before we cut the crease and as dark and dramatic as we possibly can. Oh, they're in that scene. Gotcha. And then taking this shade called Shadows, which is this light gray tone. We're going to use this to buff out the crease. Freaking hair. Just blend out the top here. I'm actually going to mix it with a little bit of Attitude, which has got a bit more of a ash tone. I'm just doing little circular motions to buff out that color. And it doesn't have to be necessarily... no, but I have one hell of a collection sitting in there. Got a 5-tier dresser that's just stocked full of eyeshadow palettes that I've collected over the years. Don't ever really want to part with them. And then just taking a brush with no product on it and just kind of melding the colors together to buff everything out. Alright, now we're going to cut the crease using, this time I'm actually going to use a white concealer. This is from Makeup Obsession's Mega Concealer in white. And we're going to use this to cut this lid. Set enough there, and then just taking my usual brush, which is this Eco Tools brush. We want this to be as dramatic as we can. Alright, and then just taking this angled brush, I'm just going to take a white powder. We're just going to set this all in. And then just going to finesse these corners a little, going back with the road. Gonna keep it kind of circular. And to add a little bit, yeah, kind of half drag, half not. It's just the makeup that I love doing the most. So I need my silver liquid lipstick liner, which always disappears on me whenever I need it the most. We'll substitute it with this. So I'm going to be using this NYX Glitter Goals in Imaginarium, which is almost like a gunmetal. We're going to put this on the lid. And then just to kind of top it off, I'm going to take a little bit of You Dig, which is kind of a shimmery gray. So kind of like so, we're going to leave that as is for now. We'll finesse more of the details later down the line. So now we're going to do this to this side, but with more of the rainbow tones using my Glamlight Pro Artistry palette. So with Enid's side, hers is more like blues, purples, and somewhat pink. So thankfully we have all that in there. And then for the lid, as usual, I'm going to use my iDef from Hard Candy in Deep Submerge. Shout out to Sailor Neptune, by the way. So first to prime the eye. Just use the white on both sides, so that way the colors are really popping. If you ever want your colors to really pop, a good white base will help the colors really become vibrant and pigmented. And this pigment from Profusion works really good. I think it's like only $5 online. What's amazing is I actually think I found this at Burlington for only $12.99, and compared to where it's usually retails for about, I think, almost $60 on their website with Glamlight. Excuse me. Keep that angle there. So with this side, we're going to have some purple, some pink, and then a little bit of sky blue mixed in with it. Or just regular blue, but I'm going to start off with the purple here. We'll use this for the outer corner. as we get it towards the center halfway point, we're gonna start melding with the fuchsia or the pinks. That way it kind of transitions from pink and purple. About to say, I wasn't really seeing the fuchsia showing up there. Right, and then we're just going to take some of this royal blue here. We're just going to slowly and even if it kind of makes the other colors muddy, we're gonna go back over them to kind of reinforce it. That. Another shot to stop the feeling. You can say it's just the way you are making it. And even if it doesn't come across pink and all that, I'm also going to tie those in down to here. Oh yeah, we're gonna tie it all down to the bottom liner as well. Okay. A little too far in. It's kind of about the same. Famous last words. But if it doesn't come across up here, we'll tie the purple and pink on the lower lid to where it's a little bit more prominent. Because the top part's not going to be as pretty. Alright. Now for the eye def. That way we can put this lid to rest. Yeah, that'll work. And then just taking a little bit of this turquoise with my finger, we're gonna set in. Kind of like that. It's kind of like a cute little mermaid vibe. at least the lines are symmetrical this time. Now we're going to move on to the bottom half. I'm going to take my blur stick to prep my nose. Just so that way everything kind of sticks a little bit better. Let's see, I want to kind of finesse this side just a second. That's better. Okay, so I've tried something a little differently when it came to doing around my nose area. So thankfully one of my favorite customers had brought me these powder puffs, these angled ones. So what I like doing is taking my foundation, which I use the Maybelline Superstay in 112. Oh, yay, thank you. So I'm going to take it onto the puff itself just a little bit. So about 2 half pumps on here. And what we're going to do is just basically slather this across the nose first. Make sure everything's there. And since this isn't really a sponge, it won't really absorb the product. And then we could just also cut it at the angle here. And then the same on this side. It's not giving as much of a full coverage as I like, so I'm going to add a little bit of my C2 concealer from Revolution Cosmetics. I'm gonna pop this on. Almost forgot that I have to make sure that Wednesday's side is a lot more pale in comparison, so I'm gonna add a little bit of white to make her side paler. Okay, just to add there we go. Cool. Now onto the nose contour. Taking what I had left on the powder puff I used for my forehead contour. Just going to try to angle down my nose a little. Then I'm going to take my little perfecting brush, this putty bronzer brush, and a little bit of my She Glam bronzer and soft tan. 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side, and then we're going to use a warmer tone on the left hand side. Okay, and then we're going to take this Profusion Jurassic Park bronzer in the shade Dig Site, which is their cool tone version, but it's a little bit more on the warmer side. Add it to that side, and then just buff it in. There we go. So that way we have this side a little bit more cool tone, and then this side's going to stay warmer. Now we're going to move on to covering the face. So what I like using, especially around my beard area, which I just recently got back into using, is this She Glam foundation balm, which a little goes a long way. So we're going to take this and my sponge here. And this is in the shade Shell. We're just going to take it and kind of work it around. My beard area to kind of help give that coverage. Even though by the end of this, and I go take off my look, it won't matter. But I like to keep everything in the same routine as much as I can, whether if it's just for a photo or even for just a simple daytime. Going back into my other foundation, which still has some left in here. Make sure it's all pulled down. Okay, and then taking my AOA brush, just gonna pull this as blended down as we can. Alright, now on to the contour again. Taking that same powder puff with the contour streak on it. Adding my warm chestnut. And this will start the shape of the cheek. And it's fine even if it's a little dark, cause oh, you take care. Thank you for the join, and thanks for the roses. Ooh, I can't speak today. Going to buff this side out. Right, and then doing the same on this side, but we're going to add a bit more warmth to it as well. So, taking the same chestnut. And then we're going to add a little bit of... We're going to add this 12.5, which is kind of like a warm almond color, to that side. Right. Actually keep that brush because we're going to contour the jawline down here. And then this side with the warm chestnutty color. That way it just kind of helps create the illusion of a thinner jawline and neck. Alright, now on to blush, which we're only going to worry about one side for it, since Wednesday just wants to stay dead. Yeah, where's my blush brush? Where's my blush brush? No. No. Yeah, start with this one then. For the left side, we're going to take this Appraisal Spritz, which is kind of like a nudie kind of tone. And then to top it off, I'm going to take a little bit of Strawberry Daiquiri. Both by Profusion Cosmetics, by the way. Cool. Now to set this whole thing. Okay, now on to the tricky part. Is that we're going to have to contour this nose with two different tones here. So one tone and two tone. So on the right side, it's going to be a lot more cool tones. So I'm going to take this Sephora Second Chance Pressed Powder in the shade N35, which is kind of like a gray tone here, but it's just a cool contour. Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't even do my highlight yet. There we go. And then on the left side, going to take a little bit more of a warmer tone. Cool. Tone. Now taking another powder puff, I'm going to take my AOA Soft Touch Blurring Powder in Translucent Pink. We're going to do the under eye on this side. Okay. And then I'm going to take another one and use a true translucent powder, which is more white based. Oh. And for this one, I'm going to be using the She Glam Insta Ready Under Eye Setting Powder in white. Dead on arrival. Perfect. Okay. Now on to contouring. So on this side, I'm not going to go quite as heavy with it compared to the left side, which is going to be my usual contouring. So for this side, I'm going to take that same contour powder we used for the nose and taking a big old fluff brush. And then the same with the jawline. Now, if you wanted to risk going deeper, especially if you're doing something kind of pale in comparison, if you use like a light touch of black eyeshadow, you could, but you have to be very wary of how much you use because it's so much easier to go overboard with the black shadow than to take it away. Now onto this side, I'm going to take a mixture of the Creme Shop California Dreamin' powder and then a little bit of the translucent tawny from CoverGirl. And taking a little of this Insta Face Bronzer from L'Oreal in the shade 200, I believe. Just gonna... And lastly, a touch of my Buttermelt Bronzer from NYX in Buttercup, which is their lightest one. I'm actually going to try something here. Hope God it doesn't backfire. I'm going to take a little bit of black powder that I have on this old Real Techniques brush. There we go. And then just taking... yeah, that'll work. And then taking just a regular powder puff, I'm going to take my Maybelline Superstay in 112 pressed powder. And we're going to and then for blush, I'm going to take something a little less extreme. going to take this Buttermelt blush from NYX, which is called Butta Together, which is like this very light peachy tone. So that way we can get this side a little bit more living. Taking this pressed powder brush, just to blend that in a little. And taking the powder puff that has the white translucent powder, I'm gonna add a little bit more to, well, right? Now that's another mess I can't wait to clean up. Let's see. Now we're gonna clean up all this together. Just had it. Where did it disappear to? Literally, I just thought I pulled it right. I don't know, unless I'm stupid. Which 9 times out of 10 I am. I'm gonna take this e.l.f. sheer tint finishing powder and Fair to Light. I'm just going to I'm actually going to take that black a little and just... There we go. Just a little definition. On to highlights, which I have one product I can't wait to try out. So this is the new LA Colors Wickedly Glam highlighter. This is in the shade Icy, which has this really fun iridescent blue to it. We're going to use this for Wednesday's side. Like, I wish the camera would pick this up better, but damn. And wiping off any excess, I'm going to take another, for my Enid side, I'm going to put Hard Candy's Put a Ring on It highlighter, which is like this fairy highlighter. I'm going to put this on the other side. There we go. Cool. Now onto the lower eyes. So with both of them, I'm going to take a little bit of my White Out Hard Candy Eye Def Crayon. There's one thing I hate is when I do my waterline, because God forbid you start crying, it's done. I guess for now I'll just use this. So taking my Ulta Beauty eyeshadow in Late Night, which is just a matte black, and a liner pen brush, I'm going to start outlining the shape of the under eye. Kind of like that, just to keep it a little ways open. And then the same on the other side, but with a bit of a lighter touch. There we go. Keeps them both kind of the same playing field, but this side we're going to smoke it out a little bit more. And then taking a little bit of gray. Uh-oh. There we go. Right, and now for Enid's side, actually, let me fix this corner. There we go. Just gonna stick with the purple and pink color scheme. And say goodbye to that loser. Going to buff this purple. Honestly, this purple really isn't giving from this palette, so I'm going to sneak over to the Spectrum palette from Profusion and take in the color Rain. So much better. And hopping back with the pink, I'm just going to take the same. No. Cool. Let's see here. Just had it. So what I'm going to take is this Profusion Wing It Superfine liner. I'm going to kind of define these lower lids a little. It's one side. Just gonna kind of smoke out that liner a little bit. I need another dense brush. Right, and then taking this white liquid liner, which is from our Halloween collection. It's not the best, but it gets the job done, at least doing these inner corners. This one side. And then there's the other, just gonna add a little bit more. Okay. Let's try to reinforce that one. There we go. Right. So for Enid's side, with hers being more on the sparkly, I'm going to take a little bit of each of these glitter gels, which is from Profusion Cosmetics in Sunlit, which is like this really beautiful iridescent tone. And then a little bit from LA Curl, which is in the shade... Actually doesn't have one, but it's more of like a lighter version of the Profusion. I'm just gonna sparkle this side. Oh yeah, there we go. But for Wednesday's side, however, I'm actually going to do something that I always love doing, is my spiderweb liner for Halloween, since it's coming up. So taking this finite pen, and then we're going to trace the... There we go. Nice little spiderweb decal. And then now on to lips, which is going to be another fun piece where I'm going to do half the lipstick nude and half black. So this is the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in Thrill Seeker, which they come out almost every Halloween. It's just a pure jet black. Oh, it's already at that scene. Okay. Need to clean up that edge a little bit. There we go. And now taking, this is from a brand called Tattoo Junkies. Usually you kind of find this in like some of the off-hand thrift stores like Ross and stuff. But it was a really fun brand to use. There we are. Just a simple nude to kind of keep the eyes more of the focus. But what I want to do, especially for one side and then the other, is I'm going to take this She Glam jelly eyeshadow, which is this fun iridescent blue tone again. It's actually almost starting to dry out. Yikes! Taking a little on my finger. There we go. It kind of gives it a highlight without it really being there. On the nude side, however, I'm just going to take this Almay shadow, which I'm trying to find again. It's like every time I move it, it just wants to vanish. This is in the shade Fairy Tale. These came out... Oh, thanks, hon. These... Oh my gosh. I've held onto this maybe 5 years now. But the shadow still works. I'm just taking a little... just to kind of add a little shimmer to it, but what I'm going to do is re-outline this real quick. There we go. Has a nice little nudie pout to it, but not too much. Alright. Now on to mascara, lashes, and then the finishing touches. So for today's mascara, I actually got something new to try out. I actually used it earlier for work, but I love it. It's called the Call Me Queen Mascara from Essence Cosmetics. It's got a nice little tree-like wand to it. Coats the lashes pretty nicely and spikes them up. And oh wow, I'm actually forgetting to do one damn good step, which is my liner. I'm just wanting to hurry up and get this done. So for the liner today, I'm actually just going to use my e.l.f. liner, which is about $3. Which will tie right back into that web liner like so. There we go. Now to this side. More to the touch up. There we go. That way it's all kind of tied together. Let's see. For a little... That's an accident waiting to happen. For a little glam on both eyes, I'm going to take this Bling It On glitter liner from Profusion. This is in the shade Precious Opal, which is just the fun iridescent color. I'm going to use this to kind of trace the crease a little. Do this on both sides so they're kind of in the symmetrical zone here. Okay, now on to lashes. And for today's lashes, I decided to go with my traditional ones, these little spiky ones that I've kind of custom made, because both would look appealing on both sets of eyes. It would help give the ooky spooky factor for Wednesday while still giving a dramatic glam for Enid. So starting off with the right pair, taking my Lash View lash adhesive, just going to pop it right on the lash band so it kind of sits for a sec while I prepare my lid by using my Ioni 2-in-1 liner and glue. Just going to prop that on there to give it a base for it to sit on. Just like so. Oh wow, they already got the barn. Damn. Started that movie back at the first tornado and now it's already at the last. Shit. Lash number 2. And my left eye is always the trickier one just because of how you gotta angle it. But my left eye is always the worst one to do. And seriously, I can't ever get this to aim. Oh, there we go. Cool. Woo! Almost stabbed myself in the eye there. And then just to finish off the eyes, a little bit of mascara. This is the Essence Another Volume Mascara Just Better, which I love because it just pushes the lashes all together without it tugging. Alright, and with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, anyone in between, this is my Wednesday inspired makeup, which is reminiscent of both Wednesday and Enid with the stained glass window, to where half of it's rainbow for Enid Sinclair, and then the other half for Wednesday. And I incorporated my spiderweb eyeliner decal, which is what I usually do for Halloween. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that onto Wednesday's side while keeping Enid's more bubbly and bright. Unfortunately, I really didn't discuss much of the movies as much as I thought. I didn't think it was going to be that difficult trying to commentary a movie review, but hey, some people can do it, some people can't. But that is it for today's little get ready with me. I hope you guys really enjoyed. I thank you all for joining, even though it was kind of a last minute spur of the moment, but couldn't help myself. So I will get my photos ready, finish up my TikTok, and I will see y'all later. Thanks for joining me, guys. Love you all so much. And take care.